The Phantom Troop head back to their hometown to take on the Chimera Ants in my review of Hunter x Hunter episode 96. I've been waiting for a big interaction between the Chimera Ants and the Phantom Troop, and I love the build up to it, and there was actually a lot of really interesting fights this week, and a few members of the Phantom Troop who we haven't really seen do much actually get to reveal a lot of their abilities this week, and I thought it was just plain awesome. I especially loved how the episode opened up, that you basically get to see that all of the Chimera Ants have started to go rogue and do exactly what they want to do, which is just cause chaos or create their own kingdoms. And I especially love the scene where this one stupid woman is actually interviewing Leo, the big lion Chimera Ant, and she actually asks the question, so how can we prove that you are what you say you are? And of course she gets fucking killed by this guy. But let's get down to the meat and potatoes of this episode. What's going on is Phantom Troop is going back to their hometown of Meteor City, and they arrive at this place and it's just dilapidated and it looks like shit. And they go to this weird place where they see that all these people were attacked by these Chimera Ants, and somehow they've like mutated into these like weird like nasty monster forms, and they're still not like quite sure what's going on with them. Are they dead? Did they just mutate? And that's when we realize that that one female scorpion Chimera Ant, Zazan, is actually going to start her own kingdom, and she's taking humans and injecting them with like her weird venom from her tail and able to transform them into these just like monstrous beings that are just going to follow her blindly. So Phantom Troop has just decided that they're going to walk into this giant spider kingdom and just start destroying everybody. And pretty much all the members that are in this group get to have like an individual fight, and they're all really awesome. You got Shalnark, you got Finks, and now I finally get why he's called Finks. He wears all that Egyptian stuff. Pretty clever. There's Shizuku, there's Bona Lenev, the always badass Phaeton. And the newest member, apparently, Kaluto, who is Killua's brother, so that's kind of strange. A very feminine-looking brother at that. So the rest of the episode, you basically get to see all of the different members of the Phantom Troop go and have their individual fights. First up, there's Bona Lenev, who is one of the more interesting members of the group, mostly because he hasn't really done anything up until this point. And he's the weird mummy-looking guy with the big-ass boxing gloves. He actually looks kind of goofy. But what's really awesome is he takes off all of his bandages as he's fighting against this weird iguana Chimera Ant thing, and we actually get to see what he looks like underneath, and he has all of these weird holes all over his body, and he starts doing all these weird dances, and you hear this crazy music. And that's when it dawns on you that Bona Lenev is actually just like this giant flute man, and he's able to create music as he battles, and that's like one of his main abilities. And they go into the background of him just a little bit. They describe that he's from some tribe that like all had these piercings in their body. It's just like a rite of passage for them, and it's able to increase their abilities in battle, and he even displays that here. Like I said, he's able to use sound in his fight by just literally moving his body and using it like an instrument, but he's also able to like summon this really badass armor and spear, and even at the end he's able to demonstrate he does this one massive attack where, for a lack of a better term, he summons Jupiter and slams it on top of this dude. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So Shalnark the Techno-Wiz is going to be fighting against this giant beetle, and he tries to use his antenna to take over its body, but it doesn't work because, ironically, this giant monster is being controlled by another Chimera Ant. It's very obvious because he has like a control stick, and he's like playing him like a video game. But we learn that Shalnark has another ability that he apparently doesn't want to use, and he has another extra pin that he's able to stick into his leg. And what happens is his device goes on autopilot, and he basically goes Super Saiyan and just destroys everybody in one hit. I really love seeing him power up like this, and he looks really pissed off, and that's really funny because Shalnark is just a really, like, bubbly and always happy character. He's almost always smiling. Shizuku is having to fight against Pike the Spider. I just think that's interesting, the spider versus the spider. They don't go too far in this battle. She's just using her weird vacuum attack on him, but it hasn't really ended the battle quite yet. Finks is also a badass. He's fighting against this, like, big four-armed gorilla who's giving him a really tough time, but then Finks is like, fuck that shit. And he has this ability where every single time he swings his arm, it gets stronger each time, and he does it 15 times, and essentially he just punches this guy and he explodes. Just really awesome, just demonstrating again why you don't want to mess with these guys. And then we go over to Kaluto, who has another really crazy ability. He has paper confetti, and it's not the party kind, it's the death kind. He's able to use it in a lot of really interesting ways. In fact, he's able to have these little cutouts of all the Phantom Troop members, and he's using that to be able to hear what's going on with each of them so we can kind of figure out what's going on. But he's also able to use them in battle, and he's fighting against this other weird Chimera Ant, and essentially he just like has this paper fan, and he throws the confetti at you, and he gets it to stick on a certain portion of your body, and he's able to attack it yet again, and basically he just destroys this guy by knocking his limbs off left and right. And you get to see why Kaluto is just such a fucked up character, because he's essentially just torturing this guy to death. I can't forget the fact that Zazan the Scorpion Woman is going to be fighting against Phaeton, and he's arguably one of the coolest members of the Phantom Troop. He totally reminds me of Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho, and I'm sure there's no coincidence there, you know, same creator and everything. But I just want to see more of what he's capable of. So far, he looks like he's mostly just a sword fighter. He uses this umbrella to sort of like put in front of him, and he uses that as like a distraction. But the battle doesn't really go too far. At the end of the episode, though, you can see he's going really crazy. The animation gets really nuts at the end. So, damn, I loved this episode. It was a lot of action, and it involved Phantom Troop, who are obviously one of the most interesting characters in all of Hunter x Hunter. They're like just the secret organization. You still don't really know too much about them or even their motives, but they clearly have something of a soft spot for their hometown, Meteor City. And it looks like they truly want to defend it. Maybe they have another plan in mind. All I know is it's a great excuse to have all of these characters fight at once. It's really awesome. I loved Bona Lenev's actual moveset. I loved getting to actually see him fight. It was really interesting. He's a creepy looking motherfucker. But still, Kaluto is also one of the best parts of this episode, just because he's such an interesting character, because I don't know shit about him. I just know that he's a complete and total badass, and apparently everybody from the Zoldyck family is just completely insane. But still, this episode is exactly the type of stuff I love. You know, obviously, if you guys watch my channel, I'm an action junkie to the nth degree, and this episode was pretty much all action, featuring the darkest, coolest characters from Hunter x Hunter. So, I got no complaints on this one. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. But how did you guys feel about this week's episode of Hunter x Hunter? Did you have any favorite moments? Did you have a favorite fight in this episode? You can let me know with your comments below. And remember guys, before you leave, make sure and give this video a thumbs up. Absolutely one of the best ways to support our videos. And make sure and check out what we got right up top. I will see you next time guys. Super Kami Guru 9000.